Oh, well, there was always the time when you get knocked off and you feel like you shouldn't have been knocked off, but then again, they only got you for 2 minutes of the 36 hours coming back, haven't they? You know, so they've missed out on a lot. Hi, I'm Mick. I'm from Tassie. I come over to drive this for Klaus and Jean Derricks at the time, I'm going to say 89 by the time I stepped into it, and I had 2 years with them over a period of 3 different trucks, but this was the main one. Found this after a long time, stumbled across it, decided I'd do it up. Yeah, anyway, so he come to ride the log truck. He goes, we talked through the day. He said, why don't you come and drive for me? And I always wanted to go to the mainland. And I go, yeah, good idea. Anyway, long story cut short, he offered me the job 3 times, and the 4th time I took it, right? Because I wanted to go, and I had a good job back home that I liked, and I had a Louisville that I picked up from brand new, and that was probably going on 2.5 years old. So I thought this is a good opportunity. So at the Christmas time in 88, yeah, it was 88. The Christmas time in 88, I come over with Klaus, or Herbie. I'll refer him to as Herbie too sometimes, but I come over with Klaus and done a trip to Perth. So I went to Perth and we come back, and I met a few other blokes at that time over there too, which I'm still good friends with today on that very first trip. Anyway, that was all right. So we done that, and I done some driving and so forth. At Easter time, Klaus said, you want to do another trip? And I thought, yeah, good chance. I'll go by. He said, I want you to go by yourself this time. So I went and done it by myself. And of course, you come out from the highlands of Tasmania and start running across that Nullarbor there. It's a long way in certain spots. And it was fine. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, it sort of, I think that cemented the job, the second run across there. I did go to that particular trip. I was in Inspiration, which is identical to this pretty much, except it was a little bit older truck. Anyway, I went to Perth, and Inspiration was the second truck out of Perth. This was always the first one. So they said, we're going to send you guys to Esperance to get a load of fish. So I went to Esperance, and so did another guy, right, who I'm very good friends with today. You know, like super good friends. We're very close. We talk to each other once every 6 months and see each other once every 12 months or 2 years. So speak very highly of him. So anyway, we end up going to Esperance and getting fish, and they're chucking shark bodies in and icing them down, and we left there, and we 14 hours straight through to Ceduna to unload them. Hose out, no mobile phones back then. They were starting to get about, but you had to make the phone calls. So we ring up and go, hey, what are we doing? They go, you're going to Port Lincoln to get fish. So down to Port Lincoln, we load Orange Roughy the next day, out of there, and some come back here to the markets, and my load went out to Pakenham. So I hadn't drove through Melbourne at this point, and this is back in the old, open the old Melways up, head out to Pakenham. Then there was no freeway out there at that time, you know. Anyway, so out to Pakenham I go and come back, and of course, because we'd got out of step, because we'd done so much, I didn't go to Perth that week. They sent me to Sydney. So I shot up to Sydney, and that was my first trip up the Hume and back down the Hume, sort of on the old road, you know. So you got a bit of a taste of what was going on up there. Went back home, and Klaus offered me the job again, and I thought there was something happened with the other job. And no disrespect to the people that I worked for, it was the start of tachographs. And I'm going, nah. So I said to Klaus, I'm in. So I left Tassie, I went to Devonport to the airport. I had an Adidas bag in one hand, right, with my clothes in it, and I had another Adidas bag with a toolbox in it. Got on the plane, got off, got a taxi down to Footscray Road, and here's the truck sitting there, and I go, right, so I've got to get a bit of bedding. I'll show you something. They laugh about me bag because I've got rope on them. That is the Adidas bag that I've done my first trip to Perth with. And it goes to it. Every time I go in the truck, it goes with me. I do get into a lot of trouble because of it. So I started doing the Melbourne-Perth bit, which was really great. Inspiration loaded the ice cream. This one loaded Bulla Cream. And then as things went down the track, the driver left here. I stepped into this truck, so I'd done the Bulla Cream every week. So 2:30 every Friday afternoon, we load round in North Melbourne, back to 686, I think it is, Footscray Road. Sit there in the rack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, wait to top up, probably 6 spots, and then head out to Perth, right? First one on the dock, 3 o'clock Monday morning in Perth, without fail. There used to be a bloke there that run the Bulla Cream over there. His name was Jack. And you had to be on point, right? You went in, and what they used to do is they used to take the cream out of one and the ice cream out of the other and swap them over. So we only had one delivery. So one went and done the ice cream and the cream to P&O, another one went to Cleveland school stores, right? We done one delivery, come back and go from there. So when I went into this truck then became the first one out of Perth, empty or loaded. So sometimes I'd come right back. Very odd occasion, I'd end up down at Albany and get peas or something like that. Or mainly done the fish out of Ceduna to back to Tassie, or go down to Port Kenny and top up, then come out of Port Kenny across the dirt, come out at Woodner and go in. I guess I can tell you the times that we used to run, is it? When we leave on a Monday afternoon or evening, I work on Victorian time, right? Because that's the time you've got to run to. So when you leave Monday, you look at the clock and you get out, you go out to Stonehouse there at the fruit market and buy a little bit of fruit, chuck it in your fridge, and you get to Meckering, and that was your last feed basically that you'd have. And the girls used to make me a roll with butter in it, and I'd put the bananas in during the night and keep going. So and that was for a Wednesday morning load at Ceduna. But when you got a long weekend, you got out Tuesday night. You still had to load Wednesday, and you still had to be here Thursday morning, right? So I'd done that a few times, and I just gone, you know what? This is how I'm going to do it. So I done it. It didn't matter what week I was on. I got out Monday night. I load Tuesday afternoon at Ceduna, no later than 4 o'clock, Victorian time. And shoot back down to there, so you'd pull up, the girls would come out, they had a big hose, they'd start on the other side, they'd bring her right round here and fill up here. You'd walk in and order your meal, you go and have a shower, come back, eat your meal, you get in the truck and you go, righto, let's go, right? So 15, 16 hours you'd be pulling into Melbourne, Wednesday morning, right? So I just done that every week, that's how I done it, you know. And I used to get a phone call Tuesday night from the blokes at the depot down here, and they go, so what time are you going to be in the morning? I said, well, I'm coming through Adelaide, mate. So I'll be in, 6:30, 7 o'clock or whatever. So we get in. pretty much done that all the time, and then later on Klaus had sold this truck. He traded the white one in on a white one, right? And he geared them down because of the accidents that was happening up at Kempsey and Grafton that time, you know, when... So it sort of geared it down, which was... That's how it was. And still quick enough, right? Still quick enough, but wasn't as slippery as these things. So I went in that one, I don't know, I reckon I had about another 6 months in there. I had 12 months, I reckon, in this one. And it got sold to a bloke, Stuart Reading, in Stawell. He sold it to another bloke, and then I lost track of it for years. Never ever thought I'd ever see it again. And anyway, eventually when I ended up finishing doing that, I went home for 12 months to actually buy my own truck. That had fell through at the last minute, so I drove, and then I went back doing out of Tassie to Brisbane, and sometimes Tully to get bananas. And this is the trailer I used to tow, right? It was never TNT colours. I think it was early in life, but it actually had Edgel's Bird's Eye on it. So I sort of had a little bit of a relationship with this trailer for a couple of years. Anyway, down the track goes, and there's a young bloke in Tassie, and Klaus, the original owner of this, is living on the farm house of this young fella. He goes to Western Australia and buys a truck. Anyway, he rings me up, he said, "Can I get under one of your trailers to go home?" "Yeah, no worries." And he comes up in the yard, and I sort of walk past this truck and I go, "Oh yeah, right." Anyway, as I walk past, the door's open, and I looked in and I go, "I drove one like that with a red interior." I thought that was strange. Oh, maybe they must have done more, and I never thought no more about it. And then it was probably about 6 months later, young Tim decides he wants to sell it. And he put it on Facebook, and a bloke in Western Australia pipes up and says, "I bought that off a bloke from Tasmania. They had 2 of them running for TNT Express." And old Tim's ears pricked up. By this time, Klaus had passed away. He had had cancer, and he recognised the truck, but Tim didn't take any notice of him. So Klaus had passed away. So Tim rings up, he said, "Would you recognise her?" I said, "Yeah, I would. If I sat in her, I would." I said, "I'll come out after work." I said, "Give us half hour, I'll be out." Well, he pulls up in the yard. Couldn't wait, I guess. So I get up in her, and I only had to look at 2 things, and I knew straight away it was her. Anyway, so Tim goes back, and Tim's going to do it up, and I don't know what happened. Maybe he looked into it a bit harder than what he he should have done, maybe. Anyway, he rings up, he said, "Do you want to buy her?" And I go, not really, but I need a week to think about it. So anyway, I had a bit of a think about it. I better go out and have a look, and I go, I still don't want to, but I will to because of the truck that it is. So I took it home and I thought, this is big. This is big. And we're not professionals. We just get into it. And if we didn't get any help from a couple of the fellas in the yard there, like they helped me, I wouldn't have got it to this stage. So we start on this truck and we strip it down to the chassis rails. And again, we're not professionals. We just plod through and do what we've got to do. And in the meantime, I've sort of got my eyebrow looking for a trailer of this spec. Right, because this is what it used to tow. So I remembered the one I had that I used to pull to Brisbane. I knew where it went because it went onto a job that I worked alongside it for about 15 years. And then when we both lost our jobs there because they went to a national carrier, I went and found her and I bought her. And I took her back home, and I'm pretty happy with the way it's come up. Right, it's a 40 plus year old trailer. So if you get up underneath her, she's still 40 years, but we tried to make it look all right to fit this. So we were trying to do this truck, we were trying to do this trailer, we was trying to do the Mac Muncher trailer, and we had another one stuck in the corner that we was doing too. So when we run out of parts for this, when we wait for parts, we'd duck into the other shed and work on the other one. And then we'd duck back and work on this one when the parts turned up, and then we'd get out there, and in between rain, we'd get this trailer done. And I didn't think we was going to get it, but we was working towards it, and drive out day was technically the end of June, and we drove it out. We really had it ready a week before, waiting to go on this trip. She was sitting there in the yard a week before with the trailer all done and everything like that. So that's where she sort of all ended up. I'm proud to the fact that I got the truck back that I used to drive, and this was a big part of my interstate career that I loved. I made a lot of friends who's been here today. Some of them you don't see all the time because you meet them and you go, "G'day mate," you know, like that. He's gone that way and you never see him. And sometimes you can walk into a truck stop and not even recognise them because they're only behind the glass. So I made a lot of friends who I'm still in contact with today. It was a great part of my life. It was a great era in transport to do that. And I sit back and look at this truck, and the truck done one a week, 52 weeks a year. And because when he had two, one would do one Christmas and the other one would do the other Christmas. So if it done 52, it actually done 103 back-to-back trips to Perth. And the turnaround time was roughly 4.5 to 5 days with a break in Perth. So, I mean, they were sort of drove hard, they drove fast, no different to everyone else out there. There was a lot of quick trucks out there and a lot of blokes done a very good job with what they done and done a very high standard of it. So I was pleased that I was a very small part of those blokes' lives at the time, and it meant a lot to me to get this truck and do what we've done to put it back to how it was. And we've done it for me more than any. It was sort of not everyone else. It was done because it was part of my life. Happy with what we got, happy with the people that helped me do it, and this is the end result. So I think it's over half all right, you know. I look back at it and go, wow, this truck. And I tried to keep as much of this truck together of what it was of the actual stuff that done it. Like even the J brackets, some of the J brackets, you go, they're not that bright. No, I want them on there. I actually wanted the fuel tanks, but they was too far with dents in them and so forth to rescue, to put them back on, to keep them to a high standard. Resheeted the bunk, bought the wings, because it never had the wings on it, but it used to have the wings on it. Bought them within 24 hours on eBay off a bloke down at Geelong. So we got them, we fitted them. The cab was a brand new cab that I had sitting in the shed that got offered to me from another truck that I'd done up from another bloke, and the bonnet was a brand new, in the crate, genuine Ford bonnet that turned up. Been sitting in the bloke's shed for 20 years. I wanted to use other bonnet. I could have used the other bonnet, but the other bonnet was probably 6 weeks, 2 months away with someone fiberglassing up and trying to fix it. And I just thought, you know what, if we're going to do a good job on this truck, we might as well use the good stuff. So the bones of her is original. The bumper bar is the original one. Took a lot of polishing up. I didn't do it, I outsourced it, and that was part of when I started to do this. I've just got to go, we can't do this to the standard I want it, we're going to have to outsource some. So got a bloke to do the painting, so we get the bunk ready. So I wrapped all the bunk, I done all the bunk, me and a couple other fellas, but we got it all wrapped and done this. Took it out, he painted it. He painted the cab. We put the cab on, then we had to bring the bunk back and line it to make sure we got it right. And then we obviously knew where the lines went with the bonnet. So we sort of put it back together in pieces. It's slow and fast, but the end result, I'm happy. I'm happy. They're not easy to get the bits that you want. And again, I mean, I know a lot about these trucks because I've driven them for so long, but there's some of the bits that you've got to go, hey, I've got to have a look here and go. I had a couple of old donor ones, so we go and have a look at the donor one. What's that? Oh, that's where that goes, you know, and we done that. So there was, yeah, you can't get all the parts. We managed to get these, but they're not exactly what was on there. But that's the best we could do because they're 40 years ago they had them. It was hard. I mean, the guards, you can get the guards. The mud flaps we got off Dutchies. The chrome rims obviously come. We got these wrapped. These are the same steps that it had on it because it's got a longer tank back here. Because originally I believe this truck was bought to do Melbourne-Perth, Darwin, Brisbane, Melbourne. Right, and it never happened because he ended up with the second load of Bulla Cream. So I tend to be corrected on a lot of that, but that's from my understanding. It's got the same dash in it, but we wrapped the dash to get the wood grain right. We painted the dash. We did swap a couple of things around to get the standard a bit higher, right? Just because we wanted, but we redone all the interior, not quite the right colour as what it was, but I'm very happy with how the interiors turned out. I actually managed to dig out one of my old school tellies. It's not the actual one I had in here, but it was one of the old ones about this long and about yay square. So that's up in there for a couple of, or 3 or 4 blokes that never really done this or knew what we was doing with a lot of stuff. I think the end result come out okay, you know, so I'm pretty happy. It's 400 cat. Mechanical, 15-speed overdrive, 6-rod suspension. Now once it had 3 nines in it, but I've got this feeling because it's not, doesn't seem to be geared like it was. It's a little bit slower, not much, but a little bit. I can just sort of tell because where the revs are. So I don't know whether someone's changed the disc because of the work it done in Western Australia. I've been going to ask the other bloke, but it's been sort of a bit hectic, but she still runs along all right. Plenty of fast stuff to get yourself into trouble, but we put a Holland hitch on it, which I don't know what it had back when I drove it, but we've just put that on, and obviously the turntable's back further. I can't get a 45-foot trailer on because the pin's too far forward. So we got the turntable back as far as we can have it, or as far as what we want it to get this trailer to go on it. So, and I remember when I drove it, I could never get any more than about 5.1 on the steer because of the turntable being back so far, but other than that, this is her. Oh, well, there was always the time when you get knocked off and you feel like you shouldn't have been knocked off, but then again, they only got you for 2 minutes of the 36 hours coming back, haven't they? You know, so they've missed out on a lot. Really, the coppers are out there was pretty good, you know. They was pretty genuine, and as long as we sort of done the right thing, they give us a certain amount. But I tell you what, they caught us a number of times well over $1.20, and they'll call you up and tell you to back it off. You know, so that was good. There was probably other occasions, you know, that goes on out there that probably can't think of one straight off the top of my head at the moment. Simon was out there, Simon Krystal. He had a smart looking truck. It was way ahead of its time. He had chrome rims on the trailer, you know, like we never had them back then. So, and Simon was a nice bloke. You know, I had a lot of time and respect for Simon. The time being about 1 minute from the time he caught you, talked on the radio, and he got out of radio range, you know. There was a lot of good drivers out there. There was a lot of fast trucks out there. It was a really great working environment with everyone that was out there. There was no one trying to do better than anyone else. There was blokes out there that you'd see every time you pulled up, and there was blokes you'd see once, right? There were some blokes out there that was very dedicated to their job, and it's probably still out there, you know. But there's some blokes out there that's very dedicated to their job. They'd done a very good job. It wasn't just me. This was just me. When I started doing Melbourne-Perth, I had to cut Melbourne-Perth out because it's a long way, you know. So I used to do it in stages, you know, like I do out of here to probably go to the Red Brew to have a bit of tea, and then you go Adelaide, Morningtown, Port Augusta, Kimber, Cyancutter, Ceduna, Border, Cyguna, Norseman, Coolgardie, Southern Cross, Meckering, Perth, right? So, and each time when I went past, I'd look at the, I knew how far it was between them, and I knew what time I could do, so I always rounded the time up a little bit. And to keep you going, you go, right, I'm going to be there at such and such a time, right? And you get there, and you probably gain 5 minutes, say, and you go, ripper, I haven't lost 5 minutes, so I can afford to stop and have a piss, you know? So, and then keep going, you know? So I shouldn't actually tell you how I work the minutes out, but it used to be something along the lines of, whatever the kilometres was, I halved it and called it minutes, right? And that's how long it took me to get there, right? So you can work it out from there, all right? So it was a good life. It was a hell of a good life. Yeah, and I loved it, and I loved that I was part of it.